In this video, we're going to talk about the clown car of RTX 40 series video cards from NVIDIA's partners. Maybe EVGA got out at the right time, because this time, we're going to be looking at the serious gaming line from one of NVIDIA's partners. That's right, they are actually called the RTX 4090 Serious. That's the name of a product. We'll also be going over the cyber hacker anonymous branding for gaming video cards, the GPU support stick, also the name of a product, and the size of the GPU, coolers being on average 3.5 to 4 slots. Ooh. This is genuinely the most absurd lineup of video cards I've ever seen. Let's get started. Before that, this video is brought to you by Crucial and its DDR5 memory for Intel or AMD Ryzen CPUs. Crucial makes DDR5 kits that are deployable in Ryzen 6000 laptop systems and in Ryzen 7000 systems, or Intel Alder Lake, including both budget-oriented and performance-based memory modules. If you're building a new system, click the link in the description below to learn about Crucial DDR5 memory. It actually is crazy. We've seen the partners do a lot of designs over the years, and of course, they vary in all kinds of ways. Normally they have something like Gamer or X or Suprim in the case of MSI or whatever in their product names. But this one it's just like, what are you, EVGA leaves for 5 seconds and they've all lost their minds. Not that EVGA was without controversy whenever it launched its own new design either, but people normally got over that pretty fast. Okay, let's start out with ASUS. We're going to be talking about partner models today. So first of all, the smallest of ASUS's cards that isn't water-cooled is 3.15 slots. Apparently that's how we're measuring things now. You've basically given up the 4th slot anyway at that point because you need room for air. But okay, 3.15, 3.25 is the next smallest. It goes all the way up to about 4 slots for the video card thickness. These things have gigantic coolers on them. The power consumption obviously at 450 watts for baseline, up to 500 plus for custom VBIOSes. It needs a larger cooler. But that is, well, it's also probably part of the reason why NVLink is officially dead now for gaming cards. But let's get started with these. So the ROG Strix and the TUF variants are what are coming out for the 4090, the 4080 16 gigabyte, the 4080 12 gigabyte. If you're not aware of what these models specs are at the GPU level, check out our previous video, it goes through all of it. So the ROG Strix 4090, it's a 3.5 slot design. It has 3 fans, it's 357 millimeters long, and the shroud is made almost entirely of metal and features a large flow-through area for the 3rd fan. A GPU support bracket will be shipped with this card as well. And that is going to be a trend here. Normally, we've kind of discarded those support brackets as just gimmicky and excessive and really not providing all that much actualized value. But now, it's different. We're going to have to actually look at these things and see if it helps them. One of the companies we'll get to later talks about how its cooler is so heavy that it apparently changes the way physics, namely gravity, works. And so that's why you need the support stick for the video card. Back to ASUS. So the cooler itself is a vapor chamber design with slots milled out of a base plate for 7 heat pipes to sit into. This is really interesting. We're looking forward to testing this type of stuff because in theory it adds a little bit more surface area contact for the heat pipes to the vapor chamber, so you should be able to pull heat out of those pipes a little bit more efficiently, or if they're going the other way, it'll transfer into it more efficiently. ASUS claims that this drops temperatures by 5 degrees Celsius versus standard heat pipe bonding methods under a 500 watt load. We're assuming they mean GPU temperature there. And this approach is similar to how heat pipes are bonded for a CPU cooler, or at least most of the better ones. ASUS claims that its new 7-blade fan design is apparently 24% higher airflow and 18 or 19% more static pressure than the previous generation fans. Sort of whatever, that's not kind of doesn't really matter those numbers. What matters is the thermal result, and what they're saying this leads to is apparently similar temperatures and noise levels as compared to the 3090, which would be a lower power card, but also the slot size starts to matter there too. ASUS also says power delivery consists of 12 plus 4 phases for the VRM with doubled up 70 amp power stages, making 2 stages per phase. The 4090 ROG Strix also features ASUS's fan connect headers to control case fans directly from the card. As for VBIOS, the Strix features a dual VBIOS design. You can select between them. And as an Easter egg, ASUS has once again put the GPS coordinates of its Taiwan office on the backplate. Next, the 4090 TUF gaming card is very similar to the ROG Strix in basic design, with a different shroud, thicker 3.65 slot width, and shorter 348mm length for theoretically better case compatibility. There's also a Velcro loop provided on the end of the card to assist with cable management. Also, kind of gimmicky, but it's at least different for this one. It's not, at this price, it's not that convincing of a value add, but it's different. The TUF uses a vapor chamber, and it doesn't have the same milled slots for its heat pipes. So it's different from the Strix in this way. It has 8 heat pipes. Quantity doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's about design and sort of positioning. But the TUF's power delivery, it's a 10+4 phase design, and this one also features dual V-BIOS. It's a good thing. ASUS's 4080 16GB models have the same ROG Strix and TUF designs. Nothing really to talk about there. And ASUS did not publish any photos at all of its 12GB models. This was a bit of a trend as well with these AIB partners, but they do tell us that they come in slightly smaller than the higher end card sizes. Up next, good old Gigabit, or Gigabyte, as most people know them. The 4090 was revealed, but the 4080 options were not, neither of them. The 4090s announced include the Aorus Extreme Water Force, which is a water-cooled card, the Aorus Master Gaming OC, and the Wind Force models. Gigabyte's 40 series landing page is a gigantic pain in the ass and is horribly designed. It's sort of like playing a YouTube video, except to watch each frame, you have to use the scroll wheel, and you get one frame at a time. It's really hard to demonstrate just how much of a pain in the ass this is to navigate without you doing it yourself, so we'll provide a link somewhere in the description below. Anyway, this page primarily covers the Aorus Master, which is once again a large triple fan design. The company dubs this as having, quote, it says bionic shark fans. The bionic shark fans feature RGB LEDs in the blade tips. The cooler is again a vapor chamber design with an insane number of heat pipes. We count 13 to 14 here to spread heat into the dense fin stack. This might be the cooler that we featured in the news as leaked by WXNOD recently. The Master features a large cutout in the backplate for air to flow through the end of the card, and an anti-sag bracket that Gigabyte claims can hold up to 5 kilograms. That might seem like a lot for a video card, but the company claims that the sheer size of its heatsink is affecting gravity itself. As with many things in marketing, technically true is true enough. And also, the Bionic Shark fans, with the other cards coming up, I think starts to build the story of circus of video cards this time. I feel like I'm in an alternate reality at this point. It's like EVGA is gone and everyone's gone off the rails. That one's there to keep things a tiny bit serious, with FTW being maybe a little not that serious. But the Aorus Master also has a small screen on the side of the card. This is where users can monitor statistics, display text, or play GIFs. Because why not? Fight me, it's GIF. Gigabyte's Gaming OC and WindForce models also make minor appearances at the bottom of the landing page, but they're not detailed. Up next, Colorful. Colorful announced 3 versions of each of the 40 series GPUs. First, the Vulcan series consists of large triple slot and triple fan cards with a black and silver aesthetic. The Vulcan cards feature a customizable 800 by 216 LCD that can be mounted either on the card itself or removed and placed in a dock inside the case or on the desk. The display can be made to show real-time stats, static images, or once again, GIFs. Next, the Neptune series is a line of water-cooled cards in a 2-slot design with a 360mm radiator and a white colorway. The water block is a full-cover copper design that cools all parts of the board. From what we can see now, it looks like the pump is situated inside the card housing and that the water does not directly flow through the VRM, but rather through the central microfins. So if that is in fact how it's working, that means that they're cooling just sort of over the GPU core. The rest of the copper is obviously connected to the cold plate with the microfins that goes to the core. So they're sharing a single cooling solution. It means that the water is not quite as effective as, not anywhere near as effective as an open loop block, but typically you get kind of good enough performance where it's far better than air if it's done right, but not as good as custom loop, at least if it's designed that way. Finally, the Battle Axe series is another triple fan air-cooled design, this one with 98mm fans and a slot size that we can't determine at this time. The Battle Axe features a red and black color scheme, so we'll see how long they last as an NVIDIA partner with those AMD colors. Up next, we have MSI. MSI is back. It's announced 4 new lines of RTX 40 series cards distributed amongst the 4090, 4080, 16GB, and 4080, 12GB. So MSI's main card here is the Suprim. Yes, that's how we're going to say it. It's yet another extremely large 3-fan air-cooled design available on all of the newly announced RTX 40 GPUs. The 4090 and 4080 16GB versions of the Suprim cooler will feature a vapor chamber design and a width of 3.75 slots. The 4080 12GB has a nickel-plated copper cold plate, and it's only 3.5 slots wide. Interestingly, MSI has squared off heat pipes in the Suprim, which it calls core pipes. MSI claims that this helps with contact area for better thermal efficiency. The card's shroud is constructed with a brushed aluminum for an armored look and feel. Additionally, dual V BIOS is available to be switched between performance and low noise modes. There's also a liquid-cooled version called the Suprim Liquid. It comes with a 240mm radiator and a single fan for cooling the VRM on the card itself. And that's only for the 4090, or at least this one is. Moving down the stack, MSI also has its Gaming Trio series back into the more normal names now. This has widths, once again, of 3.75 slots. It goes all the way down to 3 slots wide. Definitely forgetting what it's like to have a normal 2-slot video card. We're past that these days. So this is in the order you expect, where the higher-end cards are larger. The Gaming Trio design lacks the vapor chamber. It opts instead for standard nickel-plated copper cold plate, and it also has dual V BIOS functionality. Now, MSI mentions that the backplate design of the Gaming Trio features a flow-through design and thermal pads to sink heat from the back of the PCB, so that's actually a good thing. Finally, for MSI, the Ventus design is available only on the 4080, 16 and 12GB models, and they're the least flashy. The 16GB version has 3 slots. 12 is one of the smallest we've seen at only 2.5 slots, which is a lot smaller than most of these other ones. MSI has a live stream coming up soon to detail more of its 40 cards, but that's what we've got for now. Up next is Galax. Galax has brought us the Serious Gaming line this time. They all feature box art. That makes us think it's probably what cybersecurity trainees think hackers look like. And the font for Serious Gamer is what we think probably politicians think gamers type with. Some of these cards even include a GPU support stick, as if it was found in the woods, to help hold the cards up. This seems to be developing as a trend this generation, as we said earlier. And the 4090 Serious Gaming, yes, that is the name, is gigantic at what looks like 4 slots and features an 18+4 VRM design. The cooler has a vapor chamber and 8 total heat pipes, and the fan setup is what's most interesting here, with 3 102mm fans on the front and an optional fan on the back over the flow-through area, making a push-pull setup. That would be pretty interesting to test if this extra back fan actually makes any difference in thermals. The 4090 Serious Gaming also comes with an RGB card support that Galax calls the Dark Obelisk. Getting some really serious Brotherhood of Nod vibes here. And it also has a power adapter that converts one 12VH PWR pin to or connector to 4 8-pins. 4 8-pins. So a motherboard's worth of power connectors. Moving down to the 4080 16GB Serious Gaming card, Galax keeps the same 102mm fans. It drops the vapor chamber design, but it adds 1 heat pipe, totaling 9. Additionally, the VRM is reduced to a 16+3-phase design. The card itself comes with 1 support stick and an extra fan. Finally, the 4080 12GB version is even more cut down, just like the GPU that it's supporting. The front fan layout consists of 92mm and 102mm fans, 1 of each, and the card is also thinner to its relatively large alternatives, this one at 3 slots. It has 8 heat pipes, and it has an 11+2 VRM design, and don't worry, you still get the extra rear fan and the Dark Obelisk. Here we go, we get back into the inanity of AIB partners this generation. Maybe this is why NVIDIA was like, okay, we actually don't want to put any of you in our presentation. You guys are embarrassing us. This one from Inno3D. Inno3D announced 4 cooler designs for the RTX 40 series launch, and all of them, don't worry, are brutal by nature. That is their text, not ours. I'll make that very clear. Jeremy, who wrote this, would probably also like to make that very clear. The company's top brutalist model is the iChill Frostbite, which features an alpha-cool full-coverage nickel-plated copper water block for custom water loops. The iChill Frostbite will be available for the 4090, the 4080 16GB, and it shows off how small the PCBs really are in contrast to the massive air coolers that we're seeing across the board. Next is the iChill Black, which is also designed for the top 2 40 series GPUs. The card is a 2-slot design with integrated pump and attached radiator, though the provided renders don't show what size the radiator will be. The shroud fully encloses the PCB, reminiscent of sort of the Fury X, and the copper cold plate looks to only contact the GPU die and memory, while the VRM contacts the other heat sinks that are hopefully exposed to liquid as well. Breaking from the water cooling here is the iChill X3. This one is available for the 4090 and 4080s. It's a 3-slot design and it runs 3 fans. These ones at 98 millimeters. All these cards have huge fans this time. It is the right direction for this GPU series, but they're larger than you might be used to if you bought like a 10 or 20 card last time. So other than that, it's got a vapor chamber, it has 9 heat pipes, and apparently that adds up to a total length of 2,704 millimeters with a surface area of 905,637 millimeters squared. So fight those numbers, other marketing firms making video cards. Finally, the X3 and X3 OC look to be very similar to the iChill X3, except with a simpler shroud design. Up next, Zotac. They announced 9 new cards under the Amp Extreme Airo, the Trinity OC, and the Trinity lines. All of the cards feature the curved aesthetic that was seen in the leaked factory images we covered previously. The Amp Extreme Airo is Zotac's flagship design. It's between 4 and 5 slots wide, with 3 thicker than usual fans blowing air into a what it calls colossal aluminum fin stack with 9 heat pipes and a flow-through section at the end of the card. The card's VRM is an insane 24+4 phase design, and it features a dual BIOS. The Trinity models are similar with a slightly more understated design and a thinner 3 to 4 slot width. Zotac's individual product pages are linked in the press release, but are not live at the time of writing. Palit is the next one. Palit has announced the Game Rock and Gaming Pro for its video. Why are none of these have any brand consistency? Like, why not Game Rock and Game Gravel or something? At least Game Slate, Game Granite, Game Quartz, anything that makes sense. The Game Rock, aka the Midnight Kaleidoscope, features a black crystal design on the front of the card and RGB LEDs behind. According to Palit, this will bring users, quote, a new level of brilliance and absolute dark power. What the fuck? I don't know. Let's just finish the news. Additionally, Palit has moved beyond the anti-gravity heat pipes, and this time they're introducing the anti-gravity plate and dark matter. Otherwise, Palit's designs fall in love. Thought that's what it said. It was supposed to say fall in line, but we're gonna keep the other one because it's appropriate too. Palit's designs fall in love with the general theme of being very large, 3 fan designs, once again, with vapor chambers, cold plate as standard, and then 9 heat pipes. So PNY is next. PNY announced its 40 series cards under the XLR8 brand. Wonder how you're supposed to say that. It has one design. We're not going to entertain it anymore. It has one design for each of the 3 new GPUs. The company didn't provide much detail on its press release, but we have one image and a few specs for you. PNY's Verdo cards are triple 100mm fan options with 8 heat pipes for the 4090 and the 4080, the 16GB one. And they have 7 heat pipes for the 4080 12GB, so they cut down a little bit. And finally, the 4090 features a vapor chamber, but that's the only one. And last up, Gainward. Gainward has announced 6 new cards across the stack. It has them in the Phantom and Phoenix lines. Both of these designs are standard for this generation with 3 fans, vapor chambers, and plenty of RGB. That's it. We made it through. not saying any more of these silly ass names. Let's move on to something else. We got plenty more coverage coming up this week, and we're gonna be testing a lot of the 40 series stuff. Not sure how many partner models we'll look at. We'll see. Probably no one will send us any after this, so I'm gonna have to buy a lot of them. But that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. You can get the news on the specs of the GPUs in our previous video. Subscribe for more. Go to store.gamersnexus.net to help us out directly, or patreon.com/gamersnexus, and we'll see you all next time.